We had a chance to talk to the man who was qualified second here this weekend, who's sponsored by the Georgia Department of Tourism, Ricky Comer. Ricky, last year your race ended prematurely here at Augusta. And what little things have you done over the winter to really make yourself competitive? Because you have been so far this year. As we said, you're starting second today.
Well, we turned over in this last turn behind me. I think we're running third. We put a turning pin on the inside of the sponson. Keep the boat from leaning. That way we're going to turn real hard, and that made the difference.
15 boats have qualified here for the race this afternoon, and as we take a look at the starting lineup, Rusty Campbell, the man from Augusta, Georgia, on the pole. He has finished twice here the last 2 years. He's really going to be looking for a win today.
I think he's due, Steve. It's been 2 years now, bringing up second. I think he's due for a big win.
And as we look down the field, Chip Watkins, who is starting in 5th today, is running in the California Gold boat, the one that was won last year by Fred Bowden. He came up with a victory.
Yeah, it's a little different boat this year. It is a new boat, same color, but it's got the capsule in it.
As we look farther down into the field, we see Gary Tuttle is going to get a chance to race, and then the Canadian, Ted Greigick, is running today. And Mike, the interesting thing about the Mod VPs, in this division, there's quite a few different types of boats. It's really a class of change coming up here.
That's right. There's several distinct different types of boats in the Mod VPs. Not like the Champs and the SSTs, where the boats are very similar. The Mod VPs, you have the pickle fork type boat like in an STV, or the closed bow, just like your family ski boat in the Stoker or GMT hull.
Well, the 35,000 people that have lined the banks this afternoon will be watching one man in this race, their native son, the man on the pole, Rusty Campbell.
The pole position is what we wanted to get, to try to get out front, get some clear water, and try to build somewhat of a lead over the rest of the field. If that happens, then I think I've got a pretty good chance. If I don't lead the dock well, got 5 or 6 guys right there behind me that if they ever get in front, you may not be able to pass them for the 40 laps. I feel pretty good about it. We did a little work on the motor last night. Billy Pond, Wilt, and Chris all helped me out, and we've got everything going real good.
Mikey seems really confident talking with him before the race. However, you know there's got to be a lot of butterflies going through his system. He's being sponsored by the hometown this afternoon. Everybody's going to be watching him. And in the last 2 years, the best he's ever been able to finish in this race is second place.
Well, I'm looking forward to this, Steve, because Rusty qualified first, and he was out there qualifying the calm water. And you know what it was like the last heat. It got very rough out there for the first couple laps. And the STVs haven't been noted for their rough water capabilities, but I understand Rourke made some changes over the winter, and the boats are supposed to be running really strong in the rough water.
Well, the red flare has gone off. We're under a minute to start in this race, and as you mentioned, Rourke has spent, I've heard, as much as 100 hours this winter just modifying the bottom so that boat can handle a little bit better in the rough water.
And that's going to be interesting. We're going to see it now.
Well, the drivers here, as we get set, the white flag is up, and all eyes are on the flagman here. 15 boats in the Mod VPs trying to pick up World Championship points this afternoon. Ricky Comer in second. The man from Augusta, Georgia, Rusty Campbell, gets off, and the boats have left the dock. And they come through in a gap, and we'll wait to see who comes up with the early lead. It looks like Comer is trying to pin Campbell to the outside and grab that important inside lane coming into turn number 1. We'll just have to wait and see as they head down the front straightaway, Mike.
It looks like Comer's got the edges on the inside now, but we'll see how Rusty makes it through the first turn.
Campbell's going to need a lot of top end as he swings it wide. He's got farther to go. Let's see if there's no congestion through this all-important first turn. And it looks like all 15 boats have made it through, so as we pick them up on the back straight, we look to see who our leader is. It's Comer on the inside, Campbell on the outside, side by side as they work their way down the front straightaway. And it's Campbell who picks up the top end, takes it a little bit harder into turn number 4, and he actually bounces and hits the turn buoys he went around with.
Oh, that's Roger Meekins there. He picked up pin number 4. That's going to cost him a lap.
It's going to be a long afternoon for the man from Baltimore, Maryland, as we watch the tail enders come through. We pick it up now in lap number 3, and there's the man out in front, the liquor store owner from Augusta, Georgia, Rusty Campbell, the 30-year-old making the turn here. The pressure on him this afternoon, but now the real pressure is going on in second place as Ricky Comer sweeps to the outside, and Winfield Scott has snuck in on the inside and has taken away second place. The native out of Charleston, South Carolina, really has the wick up. He was starting in 10th spot a year ago and finished 10th, but he's doing very well this afternoon, Mike. He's up into second place.
Well, that's very interesting, Steve, because they both boats now are STVs up there in first and second place, and it looks like they're able to handle the rough water.
And Campbell has qualified in the last 2 years on the pole 5 of the last 7 races. However, a year ago, Mike, he only won 1 race, and he finished second in the standings behind the now retired Fred Bowden. And speaking of Fred Bowden, the California Gold boat is in the middle of your picture right now, being driven by Chip Watkins, and that was the battle for 3rd place. On a nice move, he came through the middle and chopped off Ricky Comer to the inside, and it's now Watkins who is starting to pull away. He will be a factor. We'll see how he does in the race right after this. Welcome back to the Mod VP race here in River Race Augusta as we watch the man in 2nd place, Winfield Scott out of Charleston, South Carolina. We have reached lap 11. He still has a long way to go to be able to grab the lead because the man out in front is the native out of Augusta, Georgia, Rusty Campbell in the Castleberry's entry. There's the battle for 2nd place with Chip Watkins on the outside and Winfield Scott on the inside. And Mike, there was a problem there with Winfield Scott.
It looks like Winfield Scott, he coming in the turn, trying to bend it around 1 and 2, and dropped in the hole and hooked, and lost 2nd place.
Well, he's lost a lot of ground to the man from Massapequa, New York, Chip Watkins, who is starting to pull away down the front straightaway. What does it do to a driver after you're spun out like that? He's got to get his rhythm back, doesn't he?
You can't let it bother you. You got to get back in the race. You got to get on that fine line again, get around the course as fast as possible.
And there's a man who's setting a fast course himself here in lap number 13, Rusty Campbell in the Castleberry Foods entry. He is now 6 seconds ahead of Chip Watkins. Interesting factor, however, Mike, at one time, Rusty Campbell was ahead by 9.3 seconds, and Watkins is starting to chip away. You can see him starting to move in.
Well, both boats seem to be handling rough water very well. It could come down to propellers. Whoever picked the proper propeller for this event. And right now, the way Chip's going, he's moving in. Oh, he almost lost it. I think right there, he dropped in a hole just like Winfield Scott did. I think it turns 1 and 2. The way the current's moving right now, it's moving downriver, and it's causing a little rough water. It turns 1 and 2.
And that's got to be heartbreak for Chip Watkins. He started chipping away at the lead that Rusty Campbell was able to pull away from Winfield Scott at one time. But then, when he moved into 2nd place, Watkins, he started to move in on Campbell, but with a mistake like that, it's got to hurt him. He's got to gain all that back again.
Well, the Stoker boats this year are using a capsule. They're the only boats out there in the Mod VP class that have a capsule in it. With that capsule added, it has a higher center of gravity in the boat, and I think that could have been part of his problem going into the turn.
Well, Watkins, who had made the mistake a couple of laps before, now working the concentration level a little bit higher. He's got to find little ways to move in on the leader. He is gaining momentum. He's picked up a couple of seconds on the leader, Rusty Campbell, in the Castleberry's entry. As we look back and see the man from Maryland there, that is Roger Meekins. Meekins, who was a lap down because he hit the buoy earlier on in the race, is running a new HydroStream hull. The first time the boat has ever been out on the water in race conditions. There you see him in the middle of your picture and taking a fine line to the very outside. And there's a great shot of our leader, Rusty Campbell. He is in there wrestling with the boat. Mike, it's got to be a little bit harder for the drivers without a capsule and not being strapped in to really fight the boat, especially in these conditions. It's got to be really physically tiring for them.
That's one of the advantages of the capsule boat. You're strapped in, you're not being tossed around, especially in this rough water, and that looks like it might be taking its toll on Rusty.
Chip Watkins in boat number 34 in 2nd place. He is still 6 seconds behind the leader, Rusty Campbell. In the last 8 laps, he has not been able to make up any ground, so the man from Augusta, Georgia, driving the Castleberry Foods entry, is able to hold off the 2nd place man from Massapequa, New York. And there you see Winfield Scott, who at one time was in 2nd place, still having problems on the course.
Well, he's not able to handle the rough water like Rusty has been able to, but he's still hanging in there.
26 laps down now, just 4 to go. Campbell wrestling with the boat, and there you see Watkins visibly starting to move in. He's closing the gap on Campbell. And we'll keep an eye on him here as he comes down the very fast back chute along the shoreline there of the state of South Carolina. We are separated by 2 states here and the beautiful Savannah River this afternoon. And here's Chip Watkins trying to find some clear water, trying to gain a little bit of ground on the man from Augusta, Georgia. And he has picked up a second on him, but he's running out of time, Mike.
There's not enough time left. And Rusty knows that. He's back there. He sees him. He's just got a couple laps left.
Well, Ricky Comer, boat number 16 you just saw, has had an up and down day. He was up to second place. He has dropped down to fourth place at the moment as we wind this race down. And there you see Rusty Campbell with one more lap to go. Give the signal of recognition. He knows that he only has to go around 1.25 miles, and he's really airing the boat out here. And look at this challenge. Watkins really trying to find a way through. Watkins starting to really make some leverage here. He was 5 seconds down 2 laps ago, but Mikey is almost nose to tail with him now.
Well, boy, Rusty really is running flat. He knows he's only got a half a lap left, but he's running that boat so flat, I don't know if he's just getting tired or if the engine is not trimmed out.
Campbell sweeps wide to the outside. There's Watkins on the inside. They're coming to the finish line, and Watkins runs out of time, and it's Rusty Campbell in the Castleberry's food entry that comes up with a much excited win in front of his home fans this afternoon. It was a storybook finish for him after 2 years of frustration. Campbell comes home in the victory stand, and there's Missy McDavid of Castleberry Foods, the Director of Public Relations, and she personally hands him the checkered flag as Rusty comes out, and he'll take it around one time to salute his hometown fans here in Augusta, Georgia. So Campbell comes up with a victory, an average speed for the race of 89.8 miles an hour. Chip Watkins, who finished just 2 seconds behind him. Winfield Scott finishes in third. Ricky Comer, who had qualified second, finishes fourth in the race. And Mike, it was a really exciting race for the fans this afternoon. It was a storybook finish for him.
Well, you got to be happy for Rusty and Castleberry's and Rick Summerford. I mean, they put an all-out effort into this race. They've wanted it since '85, and they got it. And Watkins put on, he gave Rusty a heck of a race to the finish.
He did, but it was a total team effort for Rusty Campbell in the Castleberry Foods entry this afternoon. They've got another boat ready to go in the Champ Boat class, too.
Rusty's teammate, Chris Bush,